This is our Independence Day.
Yes! Yes!
It's our Independence Day from tyranny. It's our Independence Day from infringement on our rights, infringement on our Second Amendment, infringement on our free speech, infringement on taking property from us in the form of taxes, infringement on our oil industry and gas industry, infringement on Texas, infringement on our rights as Americans. We're going to win tonight.
Yes, you are, man!
I want to thank my wife Tara so much for being here with me. God, we have been through an absolute heck of a journey.
I want to thank everyone very much. Every single person in this room is the reason that we are here. We couldn't have done anything without you, without your support, without your love. Hours spent at the polls, events, every moment we had you guys with us, you had our back. Thank you.
When we decided to run, well, it was a question really, right? My friend John Newton, he was here. He's like, you should run for Congress. And I said, oh, how does that work? And then he's like, well, what district are you from? And I said, the 2nd district. It's in the Houston area. You guys have heard of it? And he like looks it up on his phone real quick, and he's like, well, Ted Poe announced retirement last night. This was a few years ago. So we ran. I went home and I asked Tara, I was like, should we run for Congress? Because it is a we, right? Should we run for Congress? And she's like, let's do it. So thank you to my lovely wife. Thank you to all my amazing staff, my friends, my family that are here. I can't see anything because it's like blinding light, and I'm like already kind of blind. You guys know that? Yeah, it's a thing. I see some of them. No, I quite literally am. We wouldn't be here without all of you because, I mean, you're our support, right? You guys are what drive this dream. You're what light this dream on fire. Fire needs to spread. That's what happened. We won by like 7 points 2 years ago. Did we win tonight? Did we get a good count to that spread? It was pretty good. It was more than 7. More than 7. Quite a bit more than 7. Final counts aren't in. I'll tell you what, hell of a lot more Republicans voting today than Democrats. So we're looking at plus 12, probably. That's okay. That's okay. I'm pretty happy with that. This is our Independence Day. There's a reason I played that video. One, because it's really cool. Really inspiring. But there's a deeper sense to it. There's a deeper sense of meaning to it, which I really love. Right? There's something about saying this is our Independence Day. Every election kind of is. Because there's 2 conflicting visions in America. Right? One that wants to control your life, which believes they are your moral betters, and they want to tell you how you should run your business, where your money should go, because they can spend it better than you can. So just give us a little bit more taxes. Let's just tax you as much as possible. Right? They think they can destroy the Texas energy sector. They think they can open up our borders. They think they don't have to stand up to China because China rising is better. They think all these things. They think that you shouldn't defend yourself, and if you do, well, they want to tell you how. Right? They want to tell you how many bullets you should have in that magazine, what kind of gun you should use. They want to tell you every little thing about your life. There's this belief on the left that they can change human nature. That these elites can change human nature. That they just know better than you do. That self-government is a thing of the past. That the Constitution is outdated. It's this living document according to them. This belief that tradition doesn't matter. That institutions of old and wisdom doesn't matter. That knowledge is not passed down generation to generation. That you can decide right now what should be truth. And truth changes according to the left. On a whim, really. This is a problem, really. if you're talking about how to govern a country in a stable way, this is a problem, but this is their vision. This is their vision. That's what's been on the line. I have a different vision. A vision where you can self-govern, where you decide how to sell your time and labor. Will you decide what to do with your time and your money? Where your free speech is protected, where your right to worship is protected, where your right to defend yourself is protected. Because there's a thing about Independence Day. We're celebrating the Declaration of Independence. This document that tells us why we govern. The reason government exists, to protect your inalienable rights. Said it right there. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the sole purpose of government. Right? You didn't vote today because you asked something of government. You didn't vote today because you asked government to give you something. Right? I don't think you went to the polls today saying, I hope I get something free for this vote. I promised my vote in exchange for something, some kind of transaction. But this is the promise of the left, this bribery. Right? They promise you things. They don't care if they can deliver it. Right? Because this is what they do. They'll name some fancy program, they'll ask the money behind it, and they'll say, look what we did. Let's give ourselves a little slow clap. Slow clap, pat each other on the back and say, look, we bribed the voters again. We bribed them. Bribery equals control. Right? And you tell people, we can control you because you're not capable of doing it yourselves. You're helpless, you're a victim, you're oppressed, whatever it might be. Tell people they're not in control. Tell them they have no agency. Tell them they're helpless. Tell them like Venezuela, tell them the only way they can be helped is if government helps them. So they derive purpose from their vote. They derive purpose from government. They believe government is God. They derive this almost religious acquiescence to government. It's a very strange thing to watch. And if you listen to their language, the language of the far left, the language of the progressive left, it is religious. Right? It's almost like rituals being repeated over and over again. You ever argue with the far leftists? It's like rituals being repeated. It's a very strange thing. It's a very strange thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's not based on any kind of governing principles. It's not based on how we're going to govern. You know, it's based on false promises. It's based on bribery. This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. Socialism always comes in the language of compassion. Ask the Venezuelans, ask the Cubans. This is how it comes. This is how you destroy a country. We will not let it happen. We have a different vision where the purpose of government, according to Western Enlightenment values, according to the American founding, is to protect your inalienable rights. To provide you a structure within which to thrive. To provide you a structure within which to pursue your happiness. That's the purpose of government. That's the point of the Constitution. The Constitution tells us how to govern. It's under direct threat. The left is outwardly shows animosity towards the Constitution. They want to destroy the Electoral College, add more senators in Washington, D.C., destroy the filibuster, pack the Supreme Court. They want a world where 51% of the majority can tell the other 49% what to do. They call this unity, right? They call that democratizing America. When they say our democracy is under threat from Donald Trump, what do they really mean? They mean they don't get to tell the rest of us what to do. That's a really problematic truth. See, when Republicans win, the worst case scenario for America is you just get to do more of what you want to do. Imagine so many people in America being mad at that proposition. They're just mad because they can't control you. The fact that representatives who represent San Francisco are just mad that they can't make us in Houston live like they do in San Francisco, this is a problematic trend. It's a very un-American trend. It's a trend towards tyranny. Because the left has never The left is not full of liberals anymore. This is a problem. Liberals are happy to differ with you. The left is not. The left is not happy until you agree with them, until you speak their language, until you recite their rituals, until you agree with them both in thought and both in speech and both in policy. This is a problem. This is here. This has to stop. Everything is on the line in this election. I know. You guys have been at this a long time. You probably used to politicians telling you that this is a pretty decisive one. The Democrat Party is not the party of Barack Obama. It's certainly not the party of Bill Clinton. It changed radically. I mean, geez, under Barack Obama, they were not a party of open borders. They were not a party of where socialism was an accepted terminology. But now they are. Now they outwardly want to destroy everything about Texas. Everything we hold dear. Right? 250,000 jobs supported by the oil and gas sector here in Texas. Or sorry, here in Houston. That's just Houston. Millions in Texas. Proper estimates would assume that there's going to be almost 20 million jobs lost if you just ban fracking in America. Joe Biden says he's going to ban fracking, then he's not going to ban fracking. Whatever. You know what they are going to do? They're going to make it impossible for us to permit. They're going to make it impossible for oil and gas to buy insurance. They're going to make it impossible for investors to invest. They're going to make sure that Russians take over the global market for gas. That's their goal, apparently, whether they know it or not. I don't know if they're ignorant or if they're anti-American. I'm not sure what the problem is. I just know it's a problem. It's a problem for our economy. And guess what, environmentalists? It's a problem for the environment. Because when you let global demand be met by dirty Russian gas, you increase global emissions, geniuses. We're the ones that produce clean oil and gas. Not the Saudis, not the Iranians, not the Russians. We are. It's Texans. Yeah, because we do things right in Texas. Everything's on the line. I'm sure you guys got out. Usually I give these speeches, I'm like, get out and vote. Well, too late. Yeah, you guys got out. Who didn't vote? Yeah, you all voted. You all voted. This conflict of visions is severe, right? All these policies, they manifest from this deep philosophical conflict of visions. It's important to understand how the left and the right think. We have two completely different dispositions. This control it all from the top elitism versus this notion that wisdom is passed down through thousands of years of good ideas. And it's America that wrote down those good ideas in our Declaration and in our Constitution, and we've been making them better. We've been trying to live up to them for hundreds of years. We have. We have. And there's those who would say that this is the most evil time in America. There's those who are preparing to burn down our cities because they're mad about losing, because they believe government is God, because everything's on the line for them. They believe that. It shouldn't be that way. Our government shouldn't have that much power over you. You shouldn't feel anxious about who wins the presidential election. You shouldn't feel that way. It doesn't make sense to. Because you can vote at home, or you can solve problems at your community or your family. You can donate to causes you like instead of demanding that you raise your own taxes and give it to the government so they can waste it. And by the way, we vote on these spending bills, trust me, it's getting wasted. No more of that. No more of that. The differences are severe, folks. I think we're doing well in Texas. Trump 4-1. Trump is closer, but I think he pulls it out. We win Florida. Can't win Florida and not win Texas. Come on. He's going to win Texas. He's going to win Texas. I'm not sure we know the results tonight. We'll see. All right, we'll see. But Biden presidency, tell you what, if that happens, they ain't seen resistance. It really comes down to this basic truth. Again, we win everything. All we really want is to leave you the hell alone. We're not bribing you with false promises. We're not trying to instigate conflict with identity politics. This is not the Republican way. We're Republicans. We want to protect the Republic, to protect our institutions and checks and balances and states' rights and local rights. Let Texans live the way Texans want to live. Let individuals thrive according to their own merit, according to what work they've done. This is a very simple concept. When you try to screw with this concept, when you try to do what Kamala Harris posted on Twitter, like a day ago, a couple days ago, she posted a video on Twitter arguing for communism. It says it right there at the end of that video. Only when they're in power do you get equity of outcomes. This is their vision. It's utopianism. Utopianism has a meaning. It means something great. It means no place. Because it can never be achieved. Many civilizations have tried to achieve it, and they've failed. They've killed millions of people to achieve it. Because as it turns out, to mold people from birth to adulthood, to make them exactly who you want to be, to produce exactly how much you think they should produce, to be as benevolent as you think they should be, right? To go against their very human nature, just because you believe it to be true, this ends in bloodshed every single time. It ends in bloodshed because you have to force people to do that. And to force people to do that, you have to trick others. You have to trick others to give you power. And then once you get that power, you have to make the others who are more productive do what you want them to do. To do that, you have to engage, at least in modern times, in identity politics. You have to tell people they're oppressed and they're victims, and the only way they can achieve a better place in life is to hate somebody else. And then you promise them, as that politician, you promise them something, you promise them power over another. This is a very evil thing to do. It's the politics of resentment. Socialism in and of itself is the politics of resentment and bitterness. This is not what we're about. This is not what we're about. We're about the pursuit of happiness. We're about creating an environment, a stable environment of governance where you can achieve your American dream. You make your decisions and you work hard. We're always trying to make that reality for people. This is what Republicanism is about. This is what Americanism is about. You know, Americanism means something. We talk about Republicans and Democrats, but there is something, I think, to this notion of what it means to be an American. Think about this. You guys are here tonight. And do you guys go to each other and you're like, hey, where are you from? Houston. Are you from Houston? I'm from Houston. Oh my God, you're from Houston? What's up? No, that'd be weird if you did that. It's like you're here already. But if you met each other in some European country because you're both traveling and you're like, oh my God, you're from Houston. That's really cool. So and then you talk. You share things. Because you have something in common. It's not just Houston, you probably do that with anybody from any part of the country. Oh, you're an American. We have something in common. We can talk. There's something we share. Some kind of cultural norms that we share. Some kind of traditions, some kind of holidays. I just been to holidays. Did you watch the game? What do you think about the founders? Right? There's something that we share. It's kind of hard to define sometimes. We don't do a great job defining it as Americans. We don't talk about this enough. What it means to be an American. What is this culture we share? Because we are a melting pot. And one of the cool things about this country is that no matter where you come from, you can become American. But that means something. It means you live as an American. It doesn't mean you live as somebody from some other country. You just happen to be here geographically. It means you start to learn about our history. It means you learn about the revolution, why we fought the revolution. Right? Because they were infringing on our inalienable rights. So we created a government that said, let's create, for the first time, the shot heard around the world was this idea that our governments exist to create our inalienable rights. And we fought like hell for it. Then we wrote the Constitution, which tells us how to govern in a stable way so that those rights can't be infringed upon even when somebody wins the majority. No matter how badly they want to, no matter how badly they think they know better than us, they can't do it. The Constitution's a limiting document in that respect. We still had to fight. We had to fight a civil war to end the scourge of slavery. We had to start the civil rights movement to end the scourge of unequal rights. And we've gotten better and better and better. And 2020 is the best time that America's ever been. That's the reality. So the fact is, no matter how many people are ungrateful and angry and burning their cities down, the reality is this is the best time to be alive. And maybe it's about time we had some gratitude for that. Think back to your ancestors who did not have it this good. Think back to your ancestors that on a daily basis they had to figure out how to find water. Do you have to figure out how to find water every day? No, we have plenty of water here. We also have booze. I think, right? Yeah, we're giving you guys booze. I would hope so. Right? There's indoor plumbing. There's lighting. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing time. You know when human capital really started to thrive? You know when prosperity really started to rise up? It kind of started around the late 1700s. You can look at this statistically. What else happened then? I'm not saying it's all because of this country, but it is because of the ideas that created this country. This idea that there's some form of moral truth. This idea that we can reason our way through our surroundings. This idea that we should have laws that even our leaders are subject to. This idea that individual liberty matters. And this idea that government should protect these truths. This is what America is founded on. This is why people want to come here. For all the hatred that our own citizens spew at this country, what remains true is that America is the #1 destination for all immigrants, no matter where they come from. It's true now and it always will be. Because this is the place of opportunity. This is the places where dreams are sought if you're willing to look for them. It's kind of an amazing thing. If you want a handout, well, there's other European countries that might be willing to give you that. It's not what America's about. America's not about the government trying to bribe its citizens. This has never been what the American dream is about. This is something our friends on the left need to understand. Because it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for decay. Corruption of a civilization, corruption of a society. This is not what I want for my country. This is what this election was about. So we share this common philosophy where we believe in a Bill of Rights. You have to believe it though. You have to believe it. Right? You have to believe that free speech matters. I know it's written down in the Constitution, but you have to believe it. There's an entire political party that doesn't believe it. You saw that last week in the hearings. Right, you had Jack Dorsey up there. Jack Dorsey's got his own problem. I mean, he doesn't know that. Why does he have an number? Don't have a number, Jack Dorsey. Of all the things he's done that are bad. That was weird. My problem, though, was with the Democrat senators that had no interest in talking about free speech during that hearing. They had no interest in it whatsoever. All they cared about was getting more censorship. Their problem with big tech was that big tech doesn't censor enough in their favor. Imagine this, that an entire political party in America, not from Russia, not from China, not from Iran, not from Venezuela, not from Cuba, but from America, demands that more censorship happens. They demand an infringement on free speech. They demand an infringement on your religious liberties. They demand an infringement on your Second Amendment. They do not respect this basic notion of rights, negative rights. They actually redefine rights. They say you have a right to somebody else's services. They say you have a right to take something from somebody else. Just vote for me, I'll give you that right. These people don't know what rights are. These people don't understand the philosophical foundations of the word rights. This is a problem. This is an American political party. This is an American political party that doesn't believe in Americanism. The basic foundations that we share, the basic reasons that people are trying and dying to get to this country. We do share things as Americans. We have to. It's this basic understanding of why we were founded. It's this basic understanding of what rights are. It's our holidays. It's our ball games. It's the things we do together. It should be our pop culture before these idiots politicized it. But it's everything about us. It's why we find each other in other countries and we say, hey, where are you from? How are you doing? You want to get a beer? This is what makes us American. There is something to be said of an American culture. There is something to be said of American exceptionalism. Our story is truly unparalleled. Nobody has created more prosperity and more greatness for human beings than America. This country was founded on the greatest ideas that humankind ever had. Moral truth from Jerusalem. We gained this understanding that you can't just decide what is right. You have to have an anchor. There's a reason that in the House of Representatives it says, "In God we trust," right above where the speaker sits. And in the 23 portraits of lawgivers that line the roof of the House of Representatives, in the center is Moses. Moses received the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are true. Can't argue with these things. Everything is derived from that. This is the anchor. This is the anchor from which we make law. We have to believe that for laws to be respected, they must be respectable. And for them to be respectable, they must be anchored in some kind of truth. This is where the church comes in. America is founded on Judeo-Christian history. There is no denying that. Thousands of years of wisdom have led to the greatest idea that humankind ever had. This is what we got from Jerusalem. These weren't all the great ideas. From Athens, we discovered reason, philosophy. This idea that we can discover our own surroundings, explore it with science. And from Rome, jurisprudence, the republic. Right? This idea that laws matter. The rule of law matters. And from London, this idea of personal property rights, the free market. This idea from the Magna Carta that even kings are subject to that law. They don't get to do whatever they want. We wrote all these great ideas down in Philadelphia in 1776. Our Independence Day. And we decided that America would live up to the greatest ideas that humankind ever had. We would live up to this idea that all men are created equal, and that the purpose of government is to protect your inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we fought like hell for it. And then our founders took these great ideas, our philosophers, our historians, they wrote the Constitution. They wrote the formation of a republic. This republic with checks and balances, this idea that there can never be absolute power, that there are certain rights, and we'll define those rights, that can never be infringed upon. Wrote those ideas down. We created this grand experiment, and we continued fighting for it. We continue to fight for it to this day. We fought for it tonight, we won big. Because as it turns out, whether Americans know it or not, they love this message. They love this idea of freedom. They love this idea that you can prosper, that you can rise up. It's up to you. It's not up to somebody else. It's not up to government. Government's just there. It's there. It creates a stable environment. Protects us from the threats of the Chinese. Protects our borders. Protects our sovereignty. Institutes rules of the game. But then you thrive. This is what America is. This is why people come here. This is why you voted. You voted for freedom. I am so proud to have shared this moment with you all. I can't tell you how thankful I am to have this amazing crowd. You guys have been with us from the beginning for years now. You've been block walking for us. You've been making phone calls for us. You've been coming to our events. By the way, we have way more people than the Biden-Harris events, didn't we? Even at ours. You've been standing for freedom. You've been doing the hard work. I cannot thank you guys enough.
We love you.
All right, so let's party. Can we do a countdown? Can we do a countdown? We got a little bit of a celebration to get to. Say it with me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,